This is Epiphany Sunday. We're delighted that you have joined us. Are there any announcements this morning?
I guess I'll do next week is our annual meeting. This is your second notice, so hopefully all you can be here.
There's still spaces to sign up for fellowship out on the front. I believe there's still an opening for tomorrow or next Sunday if you're available.
And tomorrow evening there will be a event here at our church. It'll be a speaker from the Mary Treglia House. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And she will be talking about immigration rights and personal safety. That's in lieu of upcoming changes that will be happening rather soon, I'm guessing. So, all right, thank you.
Our welcoming music is next, and the lighting of the candles.
Happy Epiphany. Today is not Epiphany, it's Epiphany Sunday today. Last Monday was technically Epiphany Day, so we're no longer in Christmas season, we're in the Epiphany season, but we are celebrating Epiphany today as it's the first Sunday after Epiphany happened. So happy Epiphany to you all. And welcome to First Congregational United Church of Christ of Sioux City, Iowa, community of faith where you matter. You matter if LGBTQIA+ fits your sexual orientation as well as if it doesn't. You matter no matter your age, ethnicity, mental, emotional, or physical attributes. Even your family structure does not matter here because you matter as you are. Jesus believes you matter no matter your past or your present, no matter if you have a criminal record or have never been arrested. Single, married, neither of the two makes no difference on whether you matter to God or to us. You do. You are a person of inestimable worth who we believe needs to be loved just as you need to love others. We all matter here, for we are a community who values all persons, no exceptions. Welcome to this haven of hope.
Centering our souls. O God of new beginnings, who rises amidst our darkness and shines your creative spirit on our lives. We're Let your light dawn on our understandings and illuminate the way you would have us to go. Let us live radiant lives of love and peace, following the star of your divine guidance. Grant us a vision of how our lives may become beacons to the world and people around us. Teach us perseverance and resolve, that we may nurture your virtues and values within our own hearts and souls, no matter the obstacles that we may meet. Our hymn is printed in your bulletin.
sing the Children's Day today, so we'll move on to our prayer time of sharing our joys and concerns and any acts of compassion or kindness that we may have witnessed or participated in the last, well, not just the last week, but the last month or two. Anyone have anything that they'd like to share?
Am I on? Okay. I'd like to say I'm thankful for my mom. Her birthday was Friday, so she got a year older, and she also was my taxi driver for my cataract surgery. So I appreciate her for doing that and being around, and I'm glad she's still here.
We are glad your cataract surgery went well, and happy birthday. I think we should sing a happy birthday. Can we do it at least a cappella? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Anne. Happy birthday to you.
I have 2 prayer requests. One is going to be for Jan. As you can see, her chair is empty. Last week she was not here because her sciatic was bothering her, and this week it's because she has headache, stomach aches, and she's not sure what bug she's got. So just prayers for her speedy recovery, because she really wants to come back and join us. And then also she requested me to ask this, prayers for the family of Pastor Darius Mariano, who passed away in his sleep. His wife Emily and 2 sons, Nathan and Noah. He was the pastor at Mike and Liz's church in Temecula, California. So please, prayers for his family.
Okay. And what was the name of that person who passed?
Darius Mariano.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to share joy with all of you. And I'm all glad you're here, and I'm all glad I'm still here. 5 years ago, I started my journey with cancer and had my lung removed. Well, this week, in celebration of 5 years of being cancer-free, I decided to donate my hair to Locks of Love. So here I am today, still here, and glad to be here and still having all my friends. Thank you.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's wonderful. Anything else? All right. I'm going to share with you a act of compassion that I heard about. Angie Tima had called her house in Hudson, Florida, home for 35 years. But when her husband died about 20 years ago, a family bought the house and rented it back to Tima. Little did she know, though, that her friend would eventually run into money problems and stop paying the mortgage. The lender foreclosed the property, and the house was sold, leaving Tima without a home. And her neighbor from a few doors down, Danielle Calder, couldn't stand the thought of Tima and her 2 dogs living in a hotel room. So she put up $167,000 and to buy the house back. And Tima moved back in on her 89th birthday, and now simply pay some rent to Ms. Calder. Ms. Calder said it's the right thing to do. We're family, the whole neighborhood. So we are thankful for these acts of generosity and others. Please go out and do kindness and compassion in your daily lives and bring back the stories to us. We'd love to hear the things that are going on. Anything else that anybody has to add? Let us be in silent meditation as we take our hearts to God. Oh God, we thank you today for this holy day of Epiphany and what it means to us and hopefully to all Christians everywhere. We're thankful for the way that you open up our lives in beautiful and wonderful ways. We are grateful for the light of love that shines through the darkness of our world. And we are thankful for the warmth of your love, the serenity of your peace, and the assurance of your justice. We are well aware that these qualities are often lacking in our world. So inspire us to be the lights of the world that will give them radiance. We lift up those in our prayer requests, those who died in God's service, Pastor Mariano, even Jimmy Carter. We are thankful for Ellen's eye surgery going well, and we're thankful for yet another birthday of Anne. And we are truly grateful that Mike is 5 years cancer-free. All of these things we lift up to you and to each other, keeping those that we care about in our prayers. Remind us again and again how you have made us all your children. So help us to see that we are all family of one another throughout this good earth. For those who have died due to current genocides in our world, we pray that you will wrap them in your eternal compassionate arms. For those who killed them, we pray that they will stop the slaughter and turn their hearts to your ways. For we who live in the same world, make us brave to speak against these atrocities and demand that they cease. Help us to find ways to shower our love on others both near and far. And bless us to be blessings with our lives, not only with our prayers, but also with our practices. And so, God, teach us to be your people of justice and compassion so that we might create a more harmonious and lovely world. Blessings may we be.
Please join in the unison prayer. Eternal Spirit, Earth Maker, Pain Bearer, Life Giver, Source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God, in whom is heaven. The hallowing of your name echo through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created beings. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. From trials too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For you reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. May it be so. Our next hymn is also printed in the bulletin.
Scripture lessons today are two. First, from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 through 20, and then a passage from Isaiah, often done on Epiphany, Isaiah 60, verses 1 and 2. Hear God's word as it speaks to our own hearts and minds. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, Magi, wise ones from the east, came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who's been born King of the Jews? For we have observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea. For it is written by a prophet, 'And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least among the rulers of Judah, for from you will come a ruler who is to shepherd my people.'" Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go, search for the child diligently. And when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. And when they saw that the child had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Now, after they had left, a messenger of God appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt. And remain there until I tell you, for Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him." Then Joseph got up, took the child and his mother by night, and went to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what had been spoken by God through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I have called my child." When Herod saw that he had been tricked by the Magi, he was infuriated, and he sent and killed all of the children in and around Bethlehem who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had learned from the Magi. Then what had been spoken through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. "A voice was heard in Ramah, wailing and loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be consoled because they are no more." And when Herod died, a messenger of God suddenly appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who are seeking the child's life are dead." And then this from Isaiah chapter 60, verses 1 and 2. "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the honor of God has risen within you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But God will arise within you, and God's honor will appear through you." May God add God's blessing to our understanding of these words for us today. This Sunday, we celebrate Epiphany. Many believe that Epiphany is simply a commemoration of the wise ones visiting the infant Jesus from lands far away. And while that does remind us that Jesus' message was about all lands, it's still more than that. Epiphany is a word that means that one comes to enlightened understanding. It reflects when a person or a nation has an aha moment where it sees realities as it is or as it is supposed to be, rather than as it has long assumed to be. Epiphanies change how we look at the world and our role in it. Of all the Christian holy days, Christmas, Easter, all these, Pentecost, Epiphany is my absolute favorite of all. For it is the one which doesn't simply celebrate an event in Jesus' life, but speaks to what he was really all about. He wanted us all, every person and the whole world, to have an epiphany about how we look at the world and our role in it. He wanted us to transform how we think and feel about the things that happen in our world, and then take a proactive step in acting so as to transform our world into a better place. That was his purpose. It was the heart and soul of his whole mission, to get us to see the deep truths that would lead us to love one another as we love ourselves, and to create peace and justice for all people and all creation. Epiphany symbolizes coming to the same understanding as Christ. And in coming to this same understanding, to then live our lives by the values and virtues of Christ. We are to learn to love God and all beings with our whole heart, mind, soul, and strength. We are to treat others the way that we would want to be treated given their circumstances. Epiphany is about our transformation into living the life of Christ in our own lives and world. And 2,000 years after Jesus' life and teachings, the world still hasn't learned these basic lessons that he taught. Some have. Hopefully all of us have. But many haven't. Humanity as a whole, not just Christians now, but all humanity has continued to ignore Christ's truths made available to us all, and has even distorted his words and teaching to suit ourselves. It's been said by many biblical scholars that Jesus in the Beatitudes and elsewhere taught us how to treat one another to make a better world. But that within 3 centuries, the world had decided by adopting creeds to change Jesus' teachings, to make them not about how we should conduct ourselves and behave with one another, but rather what we should believe about Jesus and God. Within 3 centuries, the church had changed Christianity into a religion of belief rather than an ethic of practice, as Jesus had taught us. It made Jesus central, not the values that he said were central. Unfortunately, many Christians living today are unaware of how Jesus' life and teachings were co-opted by the institutional church created in his name. So much so that they taught the opposite of what Jesus taught. We all need to learn of that epiphany as Christians. But I want to focus on what all humanity, not just Christians, need to learn that we haven't learned yet. So today I got 3 suggestions. Given the title of this message, there could be thousands of things I could talk about. Lessons that humanity is yet to learn. There's a lot of them. But I will confine myself to just these 3, which arise from our text today. The first lesson is genocide is wrong and should never be done. Nor should it be ignored, and certainly it should not be aided. How can we not be appalled that Herod chose to slaughter all the children in Bethlehem under 2 years of age? How diabolical is that? According to Matthew's account, if Mary and Joseph and Jesus did not escape the area by fleeing to another country as refugees, then Jesus would have been murdered by Herod. I can't imagine how people calling themselves Christians think of refugees and immigrants as people we shouldn't take care of, given that our entire religion is based on the life of one who was an immigrant and refugee that was almost exterminated. And can you imagine Jesus ever legitimizing genocide, permitting it, helping it to happen, or even ignoring it? If you can, I believe you don't really know Jesus. He would never do such a thing, not under any circumstances. Wiping out people is wrong, no matter what. That was Jesus' view. And it seems like it should be the view of not just any Christian, but any ethical person. This lesson seems so obvious to anyone with a moral conscience as to be a truism. But the fact is that today there are genocides going on in both Sudan and Gaza. And too few people are saying anything about it, saying that it's wrong. Why is this not nightly news every night until it finally stops? Why are we not doing anything to stop it? Well, there may be a reason for that too, as is the reason in most international situations. It doesn't benefit those with moneyed interests, who not only own our government, but our media platforms. Profits have been put before people and continue to be put that way. Keeping us in the dark allows them to rationalize their deplorable behavior and allows us to not think about it so much. It's the way the system is designed and has been continued to be allowed. And that points to another reason genocides exist today. Not enough people, common people like you and me, are protesting against these genocides. We aren't making it difficult for greedy profiteers to do what they are doing, with us telling them how evil it is to support genocides. When good people remain quiet, atrocities are allowed to happen. When the Holocaust against the Jews during World War II occurred, the world collectively said afterwards, never again should we allow genocide to happen anywhere on this planet. And yet, it has continued to happen and is happening right now in at least 2 different places. We have all been made complicit with the unjust systems in which we live if we are not actively speaking and working against the policies and behavior that allow them to continue. And so we must change if we are ever to get the lesson right and never tolerate or be complicit with genocide. We must speak and act, or else we empower the very oppressors who do these things. That is the lesson we need to learn to eliminate genocide from our world. The second lesson sort of goes along with the first lesson. And it sounds a little out there at first, but hear me out. Any society that has a king or ruler or group of people who rules over others is an unjust one. This may seem like a stretch given that our text today only mentions one king, Herod, who indeed is very unjust and morally repugnant. But I'm not trying to say that all kings are like Herod. Not all of those in power would seek to exterminate children in an area to avoid having his own position taken away, as did Herod, and we might add Benjamin Netanyahu, as he is doing in Israel, where one report claims that 41 children per day on average in just 1 year were murdered in Israel's genocide against Palestine. 41 children per day. I thought that was a horrifically high number, so I fact-checked it and discovered that the number was indeed wrong. 41 children per day would be a little less than 15,000 children slaughtered in 1 year. Okay? That's what it said. But the real number is that 16,750 children were slaughtered in 1 year. Many have not been found in the rubble, so 16,750 is a number that can be accounted for according to the Institute of Middle East Understanding. 16,750 children per day being massacred by Israel, not counting those who can't be found. I bet you didn't hear that on your national news program. For the U.S. has been aiding Israel in committing this genocide with all kinds of support to Israel. But the thing about any society that has a king, a ruler, even a small group of people who hold a majority of power and wealth, is that it is inherently unjust. And this was Jesus' view. Jesus' view is that everyone should have enough and that no one should have far more than enough when anyone in the world doesn't have enough. It is how he taught his disciples to behave. It was a requirement to become one of his disciples. And that is the lesson that most churches, even today, won't tell you about Jesus. He was a radical. He was a revolutionary with an egalitarian vision of a world where he believed that everyone should be treated the same. Not some treated much better or some being treated much worse than anyone else. Jesus did not legitimize significant differences in people's wealth and means of livelihood. And yet, there is a huge faction of Christians living today who think that they should be in control and that God will reward them with more wealth and power than others if they believe, say, and do the right things. But how strange that they have come to believe that the right things could so disparately conflict with what Jesus was saying the right things were. We are to treat others as equals, not to strive to have much more than them. How has anyone ever heard or read Jesus' words as proclaimed in any of the four Gospels and come to a different conclusion? At the beginning of his ministry, Jesus, just 2 chapters later in this Gospel of Matthew, from our text today, Jesus is tempted to become ruler over all the earth. Remember that? Went into the desert, got tempted. Many think, how could that not be a good thing if Jesus was ruler of the world? And yet Jesus rejects that temptation. Why? Well, it wasn't because it came from the wrong source. Had Jesus believed that God had asked him rather than Satan asking him this question, Jesus would have still rejected the temptation. For the issue is not who asked him, but what the temptation was itself. The temptation was to make him ruler over other people. How can you be an egalitarian who wants equality for all people when you yourself are willing to rule over those people? It would have been a contradiction of this very ethical way of understanding and looking at life. You see, Jesus in that wilderness had an epiphany that no one, not even him, should be ruler over others, control their lives. That would make an unjust system. Everyone should be counted equally. And most humans have yet to learn that, even though Jesus made it clear again and again by his life and teachings. Jesus wanted us all to have this same epiphany that he did, that we should all live as equals in this world, and that when anyone is suffering, whether they be a citizen or not, we must come to their aid to help them out. We must all strive not to have more than others, but rather ensure that all have enough. That is what Jesus believed makes us good people. Wanting more than others is what makes us selfish people. And is not that always the selfish people in the world that are the ones who make life difficult for others? And isn't anyone who makes life difficult for others, according to Jesus, really a sinful or evil person? How have we not learned this lesson about the difference between good people and evil people? In our lesson today, the Magi were the good people, and Herod was the bad person. The Magi want to celebrate the birth of one who would teach us to love others as we love ourselves, who would be a light of compassion for the whole world to follow. And who, if people did follow in his example, would bring peace and justice for the whole world. But Herod was the opposite of that. He was envious of even a child getting recognition that he wanted for himself. He wanted it all for himself and his cronies. He wanted all the wealth, all the power, all the prestige, and he didn't care who or how many had to suffer to make that happen. My, what examples we have of Herod in our own world today. But the Magi in this text are the ones we are to act like in our world. They refuse to be complicit with the evil King Herod. They refused to play by his rules. They saw through his greed and desire for power over others. They recognized that anyone who wanted to live better in wealth and influence over others was an inherently evil person. For you can't be a good person if you think that you are more deserving of life's blessings than are any other people. You just can't. It reveals you think that you should be treated better than others. And this, by definition, means that you're unwilling to let justice happen. That you're willing to let others suffer while you live a life of comfort. What could be good about that? We need to care, Jesus tells us, about all people, not just our own people, all people, and care equally as we would to ourselves. That is what good people do. Tomorrow evening there will be a presentation given in our church by a person from the Justice Department who focuses on immigrant rights. The upcoming president has promised that we will have the largest deportation of immigrants in the United States ever when he takes office. And this will put countless families and individuals at risk of being sent places where there is a very good chance that they will die. I asked to have this talk given here at our church to the wider public because people need to know their rights and ways in which they can be safe as possible, given that our government is going to be targeting them and taking away their rights. And if we, the church, don't speak up, who will? If good people don't speak up, who will? And that is lesson number 3 for today. We must be the ones, as Jesus' followers, who act on behalf of others. When other people are put in harm's way, we need to do what we can to protect them. The Magi in our story refused to listen to an unjust ruler who was looking out for himself. And a messenger from God in our text today told Joseph how to escape an unjust ruler and the unjust laws he commanded. This messenger of God told them how to save themselves when one in power maliciously wanted to destroy them. Must we not be the messengers and Magi today? Must we not give warning to those who will be put in harm's way? Must we not speak on their behalf? Must we not speak the truth to power and point out where there are unjust laws and policies and rulers who are hurting the most vulnerable among us. Our second lesson from today's text, the one from Isaiah, reminds us that we are to arise, shine, let our lights shine forth on all around us. We are to be the ones who call out the Herods of the world. We are to help those who will be injured by their selfish and evil ways. This is how we, quote, have the honor of God rise inside us. Someone has to speak to the injustices in the world, and that is to be the people of faith in a better world, us. For though we may live in a time of darkness, as Isaiah says, where corruption and evil seem to cover the earth and thick darkness the peoples, he also says that God's light has come and will arise within us and appear through us as we actively seek to change our world to be a world of love and peace and justice and light. All the things that are too lacking in our world now. The lesson we as humanity need to learn is one that not only Jesus taught, but the prophets before and after him have taught. It is not up to someone else to do it. We must speak out. We must act on our convictions, or else we really can't be his disciples. Those who share the same value system as him. We can't say we believe in him and not believe in and live by his ways. That would be a contradiction. Our faith cannot be a matter of merely believing the right things and then doing whatever we want with the rest of our lives. We can't say we believe in him and not only believe in and live by his ways. We must act in accordance with our faith and follow in Christ's ways of love and peace and justice, not just for us, but for everyone in all creation. And so these are the lessons that I believe come from our text today that relate to our world today as we see it. May we find the epiphany light of truth and justice, and may it brightly shine in us in all the days and years to come. Blessings may we be. Join with me in singing from the insert in your bulletin, We Three Magi.
Generosity arises from gratitude, like heat arises from fire. Like fire, gratitude is lovely to see, but when it warms others with generosity, that is when it becomes a true blessing. We invite you to place your offering in the offering plate as it is passed, or you may give online or by mail if you are joining us virtually. Thank you. Let us join in the unison prayer of dedication. O Spirit of enlightenment and understanding, let our epiphany be a light that not only illumines our minds, but warms our hearts. May we realize the blessing of giving as a source of light and life, not only to those who receive, but to who give. Let us not curtail the breadth of our generosity, but may we, like Christ, treat others as we would want to be treated, seeing in others ourselves and seeking their welfare as we would our own. Let justice, peace, and love light our way in all we think, do, and say. May it be so. life brings you loss, sadness, or suffering, may the hope within you rise like a cool, refreshing stream. When circumstances are disillusioning, painful, or despairing, may the faith by which you sail be persevering and bring you back safely to the harbor of peace. In all your life, remember that you are born to give wings to love. Be thankful for the love you have received, and be generous in the love that you give. May your life be laced with grace.